So welcome to part 1.5. I do not want to call this part 2 because in part 2 we should be laying braid and putting some power into this old girl. But in true That Slot Car Guy fashion, we have a hurdle to jump. That's okay, we'll do it together. Now the good news is I have 80 meters of goodness. Yes, we have some braid. I'm so happy. And the company SCB in Germany were amazing. This is high quality stuff. But that's where the good news stops and the bad news starts. Now, quick disclaimer, no one is to blame. This can happen anytime, and I'm still positive that we're gonna get this track done, but I'm here to ask what you think I should do next. So the original braid, unfortunately, I did not know where to get it from, and I did reach out to the seller, an absolute legend, still a legend, and he put me on to SCB, which thank you mate, they are incredible. And he believed the braid was a certain size, which is great. I can't read German, so he was helping me. And I did order 80 meters of the recommended braid. Unfortunately, it is a little bit in the width. It's a little bit thin on the width, so not as wide as the original stuff, which I will show you some close-ups. Again, nobody is to blame. These things happen. I'm not here to blame or shame anyone. So cheers for helping me get some braid, mate. I really appreciate it, because honestly, I wouldn't have got anything because it was quite hard to find whilst I was here in Austria. But that's where the bad news stops as well, and some more good news starts, because we're gonna push forward. Now I'm gonna get behind the camera and talk you through the track and the 3 plans that I have in mind. So again, no one is to blame. We're still smiling. We'll get this done. And part 2, I believe, is just around the corner. But let's look at my plans, how to attack the really thin braid. So before we take a look at the track and discuss my plan of attack on how I may be utilizing this new braid, I wanted to demonstrate how I'm running the braid. I've had the question asked, what do you mean by running the braid under the track? Now, firstly, whenever you build a slot car track in wood, there is going to be joins in the track all over the place, because you are using different size cuts and different size boards to get the design that you want in your space. Any join in the track will need to carry power from one to the other. So I've set up a little demo. This is the new braid and this is the old braid. And I thought I'll show you what I mean by joining the 2 bits together. As you can see, we have an original cut here. And what I'm trying to achieve is running a bit of braid up and under. You can normally staple that underneath, glue or whatever you want to do. And on the other side, the same thing. So when you squeeze that bit of track together, these 2 bits of braids will now marry up. So once this track is pulled across, you will continue the power from one side of the track to the other. Very simple, but a lot of people forget to do this when they're building a slot car track. Now the reason I need to do it, when I purchased the track, it had its original cuts, which is the ones that were designed part of the track. But of course, getting this into a smaller space, we had to do some non-original cuts so it can fit in a vehicle and fit in my space. So what we have now is 2 bits of braid that don't run underneath, and they're not going to marry up without anything in between them. And that's a little bit of a dodgy trick if I try and put a little bit of metal in there or something to make that power run from both sides of the track. So what we need to do is rip up the braid, run all the braid back underneath so they marry up. When we squeeze it together, you've got beautiful constant flow of power throughout the whole entire track. Now there are different spots on the track I have to do that, but now let's discuss what I'm going to do with this potentially. So before we talk about my plans, quick disclaimer, if you are a track builder, there's going to be some cringy moments here because you'll be thinking, why are you going to do that? But let me discuss my 3 options. Now, if we are going to use the original braid that I've purchased, which let's have a look at the size of both. So this is the new stuff. The width is a lot smaller than the width on the older stuff. Not too bad. I think we can still use that. This is plan number 1. Continue with what I was doing. Ripping up all of this corner, both inside and outside lanes need to be done, which finish where the drill is, and re-wrapping the braid underneath so it marries up to these 2 pieces perfectly, and also those 2 pieces. So it will be running thinner braid. This is option number 1. We do have other sections of the track that I have to do this to, but that's generally what I need to do. Run the braid as per normal. The second option is use this braid as snippets. So we'll cut off 2 inches worth, and then we can lift the braid where it needs to be lifted, tuck it under. I can then glue it down or double-sided tape down, wrap it under, and that is a quick fix. Now there's only 4 or 5 spots I need to do that to, and that's the quick fix to get this track running. So again, option number 2 is cutting small lengths, putting it under the original braid, wrapping it under, which will then marry up perfectly with the track. Now, will that have a high spot? Will it come off over time? Probably yes. but because it's so thin, it might not actually raise the track, the braid up in that section too much. That is number 2. Number 3 is simply wait for some new braid. Now I have reached out to the team at SCB to see if I can return this. I haven't cut it yet, so I won't be doing any plans at all until I hear back from them. Hopefully I can send this back. Yes, I have to pay a fee, that's no problem, and get back 80 meters of the original stuff, and then completely do the sections that I need to do. So that's my 3 options. Option 1 is continue with this, suck it up, it's only a bit thinner. Option 2 is use tabs of these just to sort of fix the track into place. Or option 3 is wait for the real stuff if they allow that. Now, if they don't allow it, I will be probably doing option 2 first, and then if that doesn't work, we'll just do option 1. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do. Also, there's a couple of joins I can save some space. Right here, as you can see, and I'll try and zoom in for you, we do have another join here where you've got the braid running across. Now that's how this section originally looked, because this was never meant to be taken apart. As you can see, there is no cut in the braid. I'm thinking about cutting that braid further up this side, cut it here, wrap that bit of braid underneath on both sides, which then over here, we have another join which is perfectly married up together, as well as this join here. They're beautifully done. And all I'm now doing is redoing this section and this back section, and that is it. So if worst case scenario, this little section here, just this little part here, and this little section here will have the thinner braid. Now, again, it's not that much thinner. Let me know in the comments, but yeah, part 2 is coming, but we have a bit of a hiccup. So that's a wrap on part 1.5. I hope you're enjoying the journey. I am trying to be extremely transparent with this series, we'll call it, this adventure, because you did come along for the ride to view the track, you've come along for the ride to pick up the track, to set up the track, and now you're part of how do we finish the track. So please, if you can, comment. We've got 3 options, whether we use the braid we've got and go for it. It's only a little bit thinner and it will definitely work. It's not going to not have electricity running through it. The second option is cut some tab to run under the original braid that needs to link around, which is only a fair few spots, and I think that may work. Yes, we might get some high spots, but it is quite thin, so we might get away with it. Or the last option is wait for the new braid, and that could take some time, but if they allow it, I can send it back and buy some new stuff. No problems at all. In regards to the Saga, absolute legend, awesome track. You saw his awesome space. Thank you so much for putting me onto SCB, which is where the braid come from. Extremely good quality braid. Even looking at it, I know it's good stuff. Yes, we got the size wrong, not a problem at all. It's just given me something else to overcome. And of course, this track was an overnight idea. So the mistakes I'm making, hopefully that helps you at home, but it's been a lot of fun. So please hit a comment. You're helping me build this track. But as always, at THATSLOTCARGUYOZ on Instagram and YouTube. If you do like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel. Of course, I'm not a professional. Yes, I've had a wood routed track, but this is my foreign overnight decision to buy a track, put it in a van that wasn't mine, bring it to a room that it probably shouldn't be in. So it's been an adventure. And please keep the comments positive. The seller is a legend. No one is to blame. I'm still smiling and I'm learning some stuff. It's been really good. So be safe, take care, support your local. Ciao.